Welcome back, everybody. There will not be any NFL Films music to start the segment off like there was last time, but that's because I don't know if it worked. And I always like to try new things, but that one I don't think really worked as much, but, whatever. Trial and error. But let's get on to the next thing. There are two players that I want to focus on that I think stepped in it. And made mistakes for themselves, and I'll get into a network at the end of this because I think they really did something that was irresponsible. But I'm going to start with Earl Thomas. And Earl Thomas flipped off his team after breaking his leg. Flipped off his team after breaking his leg. Just think about that. Think about that for a second. You are the star defensive player of the Seattle Seahawks. You break your leg after holding out of practice, after holding out for a new contract, and you flip off your team. I felt bad for the guy when he got hurt. I did. I'm like, wow, he didn't want this to happen, this, that, and the other. He didn't want any of this to happen. But then when you flipped off your team, I immediately was like, I don't feel bad for you. I don't. Why should I feel bad for you? You're a selfish guy. That's what you are. That's what you portrayed yourself as. I don't care if you think they did you wrong. You can't do that. You have to be the higher being. But you stooped to an all-time low. I don't care if you didn't get what you wanted. You acted like a petulant child on Christmas who did not get what he wanted and is now pouting in the corner because he got punished for it. I'm sorry, you held out of practice. You didn't want to practice because you didn't want a stress injury. You didn't want an injury that would take you out for the year. What happened in a game? Because you didn't practice, you broke your leg. You tripped and tripped on a player and broke your leg. Hell no, I don't feel bad for you. After the crap you pulled, flipping off your team, and then sitting there going and pouting on the cart. You got people in Seattle trying to make excuses for you. No, not in Seattle. Let me rephrase that. You got people in the media trying to make excuses for you. I get why he was frustrated. He was totally entitled to do that. No, he wasn't. I'm done. I'm done with that. That was ridiculous. When I saw it, I couldn't believe it. But then I was thinking, wait, it's this player. It's Earl Thomas. Why does it surprise me? He's been doing this to his team all off season. Trade me to a team or else. Now I feel bad for one team. The Kansas City Chiefs had a deal in place ready to acquire him on Monday. Injury happens, they don't get him. Now I don't feel bad for the Cowboys. They didn't deserve him in the first place. Because you got idiots out there like Skip Bayless saying the Cowboys would be Super Bowl contenders and the best team in the NFC if they acquired Earl Thomas. I'm sorry, with a quarterback as bad as you have, you're not going anywhere. But that's besides the point. Earl Thomas, in my opinion, did not deserve the big contract because no safety's getting paid like that. You got guys like Jesse Bates in Cincinnati balling. He's one of the top safeties in the game right now. He's one of the top 5 safeties in the game right now. Now, I'm talking about free safeties. I'm not talking about the strong safeties, the half linebackers, half defensive back. I'm talking about the free safeties, the center fielders, as they call them. You got guys that are not getting paid money, that aren't getting paid the millions of dollars per year, that will get paid. You got bums like Morgan Burnett in Pittsburgh, who's one of the only guys getting paid. Eric Reed went to Carolina. He's now a starting strong safety there. You have Jamal Adams, Marcus May, who were drafted in the same draft by the Jets. You have a few other guys out there. Marcus Williams in New Orleans. There are guys out there that are getting paid. I'm sorry, Earl Thomas. You're not a top safety in the league anymore. You're not Eric Berry. I wouldn't even say you're Landon Collins. But you're definitely up there. You're up there. But I would say Derwin James at this point I would rather have over you, and I cannot believe I forgot that guy. But what you did was ridiculous. And I don't feel bad for you. This was 2 weeks ago, so it's kind of hard to get a bunch of thoughts on it. But, again, he was out 1 week. His team put a fight up against the Rams, which I thought was amazing. But let's move on to the next stupid, absolutely stupid situation that occurred. I'm talking about Odell Beckham Jr. What an idiot. Like, I don't get it. I don't know why players feel like they need to do this. Like, I don't. And he went on an interview with ESPN, which tells you everything you need to know, by the way, and ranted to them about how he's not getting what he wants. He's not getting what he wants. Your ball's not getting thrown to me. Feel bad for me. Blah, blah, blah. I got paid all this money. Feel bad for me. Hell no. I don't feel bad for you in the slightest bit. You are a locker room cancer. A locker room cancer. This dude said, this is the same, now, he's asking us to feel bad for him. This is the same dude who acted like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant after scoring a touchdown, and his explanation for it was, I'm a dog. Huh? He also fought with a kicking net, made a Broadway play on the football field about apologizing to the kicking net, and then proposed to the kicking net. Should have been on Broadway. It would have been the worst show on Broadway in years, but but this is why he's not considered the best receiver in the game. Because of this. Because of this crap he pulls. Now, it's not like ESPN's absolved from this either. I'll get to them in a little bit. But what Odell did was irresponsible, as well as what ESPN did. And I'll tell you what Odell did. Odell, through his coach, his new head coach, his quarterback, who is the only reason he's been successful, and his whole team under the bus. And then he ran them over. That's what he did. He said, I see receivers who don't get production, or balls thrown at them, whine and cry, and then the next week they get balls thrown to them. He's only talking about one guy, and it's the guy getting sued for throwing things out a window and almost hitting a 2-year-old kid. Antonio Brown. A Pittsburgh Steeler who whines and cries because the ball's not thrown to him. I'm sorry, Antonio. You get shut down more often than not, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. When I see Antonio Brown having a tirade, just having fit on the sideline. I'm like, that's classic Antonio Brown. Classic Antonio Brown. When I see Odell do it, that's classic Odell Beckham Jr. That's why A.J. Green and Julio Jones are the two best receivers in the game. They don't do that. They don't do that. When have you seen A.J. Green throw a fit, throw his helmet, shove a trash can to the ground, shove his helmet into a kicking net so that it hits him in the face, try to get the camera's attention because he's a drama queen? I don't want to. A.J. Green has never done that. He's never done that. He's been in one fight, and that was with Jalen Ramsey, which I give him a pass for because it's Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey always picks fights. So, you don't do that, Odell, because your team may have showed up against a not-so-great defense, but your quarterback also, yeah, he's not amazing, but it's not like you've been helping him. That's all I got to say about Odell. Now, ESPN is a completely different matter. ESPN just showed how irresponsible and political they really are. Name a sports network. Now, first of all, I'm going to say this interview was a complete joke. A complete joke. Name a sports network that will interview a player and then try to point out everything wrong with an organization and get the player to rant about it. Name one. The first one that's going to pop into your head is ESPN. They did an interview, basically poked and prodded Odell into talking about what was wrong with the Giants organization. Mind you, this is the same network that tried to sabotage a player's career at draft night by showing a video of an incident. Or a video of a domestic violence incident, I should say. I should be specific. They were the only network, the player got drafted, they were the only network to show the video. This is also the same network that sits here and complains all the time that Kaepernick doesn't have a job. And then is basically going after the ownership. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not signing a backup quarterback when I have a backup quarterback that I drafted. So why am I doing that? Why are you going to try and force me to do that? This is also the media platform that only gets Monday Night Football and never gets a Super Bowl, and you wonder why. Go to ESPN. If I were the NFL, I'd literally sit there and look at ESPN and go back to covering basketball. Go back to the third-tier sport in this country. Go back and cover that. We don't want you covering our game. Get out. Unbelievable. They sit there and they try to poke and prod everything. The only organizations they don't poke holes in and ridicule are the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those are the only two organizations they do not poke holes in. Other than that, they'll sit there and ridicule the Packers and get Aaron Rodgers to say something that he's unhappy with. They'll try to get there and get Matt Ryan to say it. They'll get Cam to say it. They'll get some other people to say it. ESPN's a joke when it comes to covering football. It's a joke. If you want to watch it, if I'm going to tell you, I'm going to rank it. Sundays are the times I watch football, right? Everyone watches football on Sunday, but I never watch Monday Night Football anymore. Excuse me. I never do it because it's boring. The announcers are bland, and they have no energy for the game. Maybe besides Jason Witten. But that's it. Nobody watches Monday Night Football anymore. So go back to covering basketball. In the next segment, we're going to talk about a few surprises and actually some stuff about the league that I think you will enjoy. Stay tuned.